Hello, spooky crew. Our tote bag drawing is officially closed, and we just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who entered. We are so grateful for the love and the support, and we have loved reading your reviews. Missed the tote? No worries. We're still sending out high-quality vinyl stickers while supplies last. Just email us proof of your rating and review along with your mailing address to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, and we'll get one headed your way. Quick promise, your address is only for mailing the sticker. No emails, no selling info, no funny business, just spooky gratitude. Thanks again for supporting the show. You are the reason we do this. Knock, knock. Who's there? It's the Black-Eyed Kids. They've returned for part 2, but do not let them in. You're listening to The Spooky Darlings, a podcast where 3 sisters share stories about anything bizarre. I'm Nettie, and last week in part 1 of our Black-Eyed Kids episode, we told chilling stories of encounters we found in books and across the internet. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, we suggest you start there first. It sets the stage for what's to come. In this episode, part 2, we'll share even more encounters and dive into some theories surrounding these eerie, uninvited visitors. Before we begin, we wanted to talk about our Spooky Darlings giveaway. We want to thank our listeners for supporting the Spooky Darlings. The first 50 people who leave us a written review will receive an exclusive Spooky Darlings sticker. Here's how to get your sticker. Step 1, write a review of our podcast. If you've already done this, you can skip on ahead to Step 2. Step 2, email us at thespookydarlings@gmail.com with either a screenshot of your review or your username, and please include which platform you left the review on. Also, send us your mailing address, and we'll send you a free Spooky Darling sticker as a thank you. But that's not all. Everyone who leaves a review will also be entered into a special Halloween drawing at the end of October for a Spooky Darlings tote bag. So leave us a review, snag a sticker, and maybe even a tote to carry all your spooky treasures. Now stay tuned as we dive headfirst into some theories on what could these Black-Eyed Kids possibly be and give you more encounters. Enjoy! So we're going to talk about some theories. So one major theory is that the Black-Eyed Kids are ghosts. Now, the encounters that happen in the U.S. mostly involve kids almost behaving vampiric more than ghostly, where they're trying to get permission to come in, and then people feel completely drained, etc. But in the United Kingdom, sightings of black-eyed children have been a little bit different. So there's this famous story that's been widely reported in England called the Black-Eyed Girl of Cannock Chase. And this is in the Midlands of England, where a woman is out walking with her daughter, and they hear the scream of a little girl. And so the woman, very maternal and alarmed, she was like, oh, what's going on? A child is in distress. So she goes and she's running around trying to find where the scream is coming from. And then she hears it behind her, and she and her daughter turn around, and there's a little girl standing about 10 feet behind her with her hands covering her eyes.
Oh my gosh.
And the woman was like, oh, what's wrong? Are you okay? And the girl lowers her hands simultaneously and looks up, and she has completely black eyes,
No.
but like hollow.
No, thank you.
And so when that was reported, and that was more recent, I don't know exactly when, but people started saying, well, the exact same thing happened in the exact same spot in 1982. And this man said, yes, my aunt had the same experience where she heard a child screaming and found this little girl and asked her if she was okay. And it was basically the exact same thing. So suddenly the news reports on that, and more reports start to surface of people saying, yeah, no, I actually ran into a little girl who was also crying, and I tried to help her, and she looked at me with black eyes, and I didn't know what to make of it. I, startled and ran away. And so there is a theory that the little girl that people are seeing in that area is the ghost of one of 3 murdered girls that were murdered between 1967 and 1969 by serial killer Raymond Leslie Morris, who was caught attempting to abduct a 4th victim, is how he was caught. And even though he is known to be the killer of all 3 girls, I think he was only actually charged on one of them. There was only enough evidence. These girls were between the ages of 5 and 7, and their bodies were found in a ditch. And the little girl that people see fits the age group. So people wonder, is it the ghost of that girl? Is she like crying for help? There are other stories of black.
Pause really quick. What was the spot where this sighting of this little girl, was that like his dumping ground or something?
Just in the same, I don't know if like it was the exact dumping ground. The bodies were found in a ditch.
Okay.
All in the same area, but it did happen in Cannock Chase in the Midlands.
Sorry if you already said that.
Well, I don't know if you meant like isolated, like literally like in the same, like, area of like a park, or if you just meant in the same town. It's the same town.
Okay.
But I don't know I know that the two ghost sightings of the girl, the 1982 one and the more recent one, were like happened on the same, like in the same block, like literally the same area. But I don't know where the bodies of the little girls were found. Okay. So there are other black-eyed, like reports of black-eyed ghosts. I've heard stories of black-eyed ghosts from friends of mine. They're like, oh yeah, my kid has some lady he talks to in the closet, and I ask her how she looks, and I say, what color is her hair? Black. What color are her eyes? Black. Oh. So I think black-eyed ghosts are kind of a common phenomenon, but in England, it seems to happen a lot. And there's this story that was reported where this girl here's her brother talking, her little brother, who's like 3 or 4 years old. And she says, who are you talking to? And he says, the little girl with black eyes. And so the older sister's like freaked out. And then shortly after that, she starts hearing footsteps and voices in the house. And she has trouble sleeping. And she would find that she would toss and turn all night and like kind of wrestle her covers. And then when she'd finally fall asleep, she'd wake up in the morning and all of her blankets would be neatly folded at the foot of the bed.
Weird.
So like she was like tossing the blankets on and off and like tangled up in them. They'd be folded neatly. And so there was one night where she could not sleep. She was sleeping with her little brother. He was scared or she was scared. So she turns on the lights and she starts watching TV. And then just as she's starting to drift off and she's like thinking to herself, I should turn off the TV, I'm falling asleep, the light switches off, the TV turns to static, and her door slams.
Poltergeist.
But her door was being held open by a basket of books. She said she never shut the door. It was always held open by a basket of books. So somehow something shoved the basket of books and slammed the door. So she, freaks out and goes over and tries to open the door. And it's not locked from the outside.
It's like stuck.
It's only locked from the inside, but someone's pulling it shut. So she's sitting there trying to open it. So she screams for her mom, and then she hears her mom's footsteps. And then she feels the door release, and her mom's able to open the door and come in. So is this a black-eyed kid, or is this a ghost? Is this just a haunting?
Sounds more like ghost poltergeist.
Yeah, it
activity.
Because it sounds like the needing permission thing and the car thing and the showing up on the doorstep thing is largely American. Although there have been, and I will talk about this in a minute, there have been similar stories that happen in China and in Japan of kids showing up on doorsteps.
Okay.
Did I tell you Oliver asked me to bring this to you guys as a request that after we finish our cryptid crawl that we do Japanese cryptids?
Yes. Well, yeah.
Totally.
I think that we had already talked about after we finished the 50 states doing the U.S. territories and then going like country by country.
We can
I think
start
it'd be
with
fun. Oliver was like, I think you better talk to them sooner than later about this.
Well, if he wants Japan to be our first country, we could start Asia. We could work our way through.
You know what? Maybe we go in order of like the countries that we've had the most listens from.
Ooh.
I think we've had several from Germany, Italy, Russia, Belarus. Like
We'd love to do German
Yeah.
cryptids.
We also have Japan, so
I really hope we get some from the Philippines.
We do. We have Japan and Singapore. I think that'd be super fun. Yeah, we need to download from the Philippines if we're going to try to skyrocket it to the top of the list.
We really do because they have the coolest cryptids.
Yes, the Aswang was originally a Philippine
Aswang.
Sorry, I called you an Aswang. Aswang.
The Aswang. It's fine. I called it the Aswang too. Okay, so in France in 1970, that says 1970-40. Okay, it might have been 1940, but I think it was 1970. In 1970 in France, there were 2 men that were driving by a house and they saw 5 small figures. And they said it was really strange. And Emily, this kind of goes to what you said, like aliens not wearing clothes. They said that they didn't quite look human. They looked very gangly and small and humanoid, almost like they were dressed in these clothes but didn't know how to wear clothes. And so there were five figures, and they were like, what in the heck are these like five kids? They had long, dark, dank hair and yellowish skin. And the men kind of pulled over for a closer look and rolled down their window. And the kids turned to them, and their eyes were solid black. They were wearing really strange patterned dresses that like fell to the floor. And as they sat there and looked at the kids started to beckon towards them.
Oh.
And the men were filled with dread, and they drove away.
Yeah.
So
creepy.
I thought that was interesting.
This makes me think of like when you're a kid and you're putting on your mom's too big clothes and like maybe even sometimes put her bra on with an orange in each side of the bra. I bet you that's anybody else do that? I did.
I sure
And
did.
you would put on her silky pajama bottoms, but put your entire body in one leg, and then put the other
I
leg
did. I would
over the shoulder.
Or to put the other leg all the way over.
over the shoulder was such a good look because it was like shoulder on, shoulder off. But then the other really great one was like backless turtleneck.
Yeah,
Like,
that's Haley does that.
backless cowl neck. Yes, it was so good.
Man.
So body through one leg hole,
Those were the funnest.
whole head through the other leg hole. It was such.
Just felt so elegant.
We should bring this to Amazon, you guys. We should create giant stretchy women's pajama bottoms that can be worn.
And then you just have to
20 ways.
shuffle.
We could honestly market them as like mother daughter, the sisterhood of the traveling spooky pants. Look, it's pants on the mother. Put it on the daughter. It's a dress.
Let's not call them spooky pants because spooky to me sounds like see-through pants where it's sheer like a ghost.
I just think if we're branding it as the Spooky Darlings, we might have to call them Spooky Darling Pants. Spooky Darling. I'm just kidding.
Spooky darling pants.
Okay, one more story about encounters in Europe. Now, this one I thought was really interesting. I couldn't tell what country this happened in, but it was an American traveling in Europe with a friend. She was traveling with a European friend. And this one kind of fits both Black Eyed Kids American lore and Black Eyed Kids Ghost. So she's staying in a hotel. Her friend is fast asleep and she hears crying. So she was like, what in the world? Looks out the peephole, doesn't see anything, opens the door, sticks her head out, looks left, looks right, doesn't see anything. So she can still hear the crying. So she goes down the hallway where there's a corner. As she turns the corner, she sees a little girl, a young girl, long hair covering like in the girl's face, and the girl's standing sideways to her, and I believe was wearing like a nightgown. And she goes, "Are you all right?" And the girl slowly turns to her and lifts her face up so the hair parts and shows her face. And the woman sees first that the girl has solid black eyes, and then the girl starts to smile, a very wide smile, and has sharp teeth like a vampire.
Oh, I hate it.
Or a shark. Vampire or shark.
Or a shark. Your shark theory might be right. So the woman, is terrified. And she like kind of chokes on a scream and then runs back into her room and locks the door. And her room, the person she's traveling with, is still asleep. She doesn't wake her friend up.
Oh,
But then
rude.
it's silent for a little while. And then she starts to hear a gentle knock on the door. And it's very persistent. And she hears a whisper, "Let me in." And the woman ignores it. And the knock gets louder and louder. And the voice gets louder, "Let me in," until it turns into just loud banging and screaming, "Let me in." And meanwhile, this woman is waiting for her friend to wake up, and her friend doesn't hear a thing. So this woman doesn't sleep at all. When her friend finally wakes up in the morning, she was like, "Didn't you hear that? Like, how could you sleep through that? I had the most terrifying night." And the friend had didn't wake up, nothing.
gosh.
Was the friend in her same room? I'm so confused.
Yeah, they
Was
were
friend
in the same room.
Okay.
Yeah, in the same room.
Oh, that's so creepy.
I would have woken you up. I just want to know if either of you were in a room with me and I was experiencing that, you would have been shaken awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It would have been like, "You will experience this terror with me right now."
Yes, exactly. We're sisters. I gotta go through it all together.
Especially before walking down the hallway. I'd be like, "You stand in the door and keep this open. I'll walk down the hallway."
Yeah,
Then I'll be like, "Emily, you walk down the hallway. I'll stand here while Haley holds the door open."
Yeah, I'm not going down a creepy hallway alone.
I'm sitting, Emily.
I might do it. I wouldn't mind, guys. I really do. I don't. They don't bother me as much because I don't believe in it.
It's
I don't
not
believe
as scary for you
I don't believe in it as
because you
much.
don't believe in it as much as we do.
Exactly.
All right. If you were to describe the Black Eyed Kids phenomenon to someone from China, they would say, "Oh, I know exactly what that is. We have that in China. It's called a hungry ghost. Hungry ghosts always want something, but they can never be satisfied. They're stuck between two worlds. These ghosts, they're called hungry ghosts, and they're considered to be stuck between the world of the living and like the higher realm of when you die and move on. And now in the Chinese calendar, in Chinese culture, during the 7th month of the Chinese calendar, they have a celebration called the Hungry Ghost Celebration, where they leave out offerings for ghosts. They will like put on plays and put on shows and leave like the first couple rows empty, because it's for the spirits of the ghost. It's for these hungry ghosts. If you sit in one of the empty chairs or eat food that's from one of these offerings, it's said to bring really bad luck to you and to your family. Now, there's a story, and this was told to David Weatherly, and this is from a woman named Jill, and it's about her sister. But they do things like in these public celebrations, they have this like special paper that burns really interestingly, and they make like basically fake money that they call hell money. Ooh. And when you burn it, the ghosts are able to like somehow get it. And so then you're kind of like appeasing these ghosts that need a little help moving on. And so
hell money, so kind of like adding to their jail account or like their hell.
Yeah.
Hell
sort
commissary.
Of like
hell commissary.
Hell commissary.
Money,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. And I would love to get actually more into it. When I was reading this, I was like, we need to do an entire episode on Hungry Ghosts, because it does go along with the Black-Eyed Kids, but it also seems to like have its own really cool lore.
Oh, nice.
China's so huge, we might have to do a few.
It's so big. Okay, so what? Okay, so this is Jill talking about her sister's encounter with a black-eyed ghost, or what they consider a hungry ghost. And Jill is a Chinese American. So she lives in the United States, but was raised in China, and her family lives in China. So her sister came home from the market one day, and she lived with her parents in Shanghai. She made some tea, was doing things in the kitchen, prepping dinner, when she heard a knock at the window of the kitchen. And she looked over to see a girl standing there outside. She walked over to the window and looked out, and right away she saw that the little girl had black eyes and that her skin was very white and pale. Jill's sister asked the girl what she wanted, and the girl said, "I want to eat. I want you to invite me in so I can have some of your food."
Eek.
Jill's sister was really scared. She thought the girl was some kind of spirit. And she told Jill later that the girl looked really strange. It didn't quite appear solid, which is different from our normal Black-Eyed Kids events, but it was a child. And the girl just sat there outside the window and getting closer and staring at Jill. So Jill left the kitchen and she's like, "Hey, Dad, come out here. There's a girl outside asking for food." So the father went out and he looked and he's like, "There's nobody out here." So he closed the window and the curtains.
Which is similar to some of the previous stories.
Yes, a little bit. But he closes the windows and the curtains and he said, "Okay, we've got to do some prayers." Because this kid of mine has, Jill's sister, I don't know her name, sorry, has just seen a wandering spirit or a hungry ghost. So Jill's family went and they talked to a Buddhist priest and a Taoist priest, and they had the house blessed, and they did all these rituals to cleanse the home and the family and to help the wandering spirit find peace. And a big part of this and of the hungry ghost celebrations, that you're supposed to pray actively for these hungry ghosts, for these wandering spirits. And if you let the wandering spirit into your home, great misfortune will follow your family, just like with the Black-Eyed Kids. And so this is a quote from Jill's sister. "Sometimes people feel pity for these wandering spirits and to make the mistake of letting them in, but you have to appease them in the proper way. They don't know how to limit what they take. And if you let them in, they will steal all your good fortune away." And so Jill and her sister both said that like during the celebration of the hungry ghosts, that they can actually see clouds of spirits floating around, because it's like in Chinese tradition that they believe that just during this month, the spirits are kind of allowed out from hell to wander around and try to collect what they need. And usually spirits are stuck in this in-between world if they feel like they haven't received enough veneration from their family, or if they did something really wrong in their past life that they have to make up for. So
yeah, I wonder what that little girl did that was so bad.
I know, she's just a little girl. Who knows? It could just be that she was forgotten, because it sounds like they can't move on if they were forgotten. However, even just being honored by a stranger will do the trick. Will give them what they need to move on to the next higher realm. So because their house was visited by that hungry ghost trying to get in by the spirit of that little girl, every year they take precautions and they put out food. They put out incense and they burn, joss. Joss paper is the special paper that's like supposed to turn into money for them. They burn joss paper for her and they say prayers for her and for other wandering spirits. So it's like you give them honor, but you have to do it properly. You can't invite them into your home because they don't know how to put limits on what they're taking from you. So,
oh, that's cool.
I don't know. There's so many, like the concept of hungry ghosts is like really rich in Chinese culture, but there's also ties into, like Japanese culture too. And what's interesting is like if you go into the history of China and religion in China, when Buddhism came, it kind of clashed with Confucian tradition and they ended up sort of melding into one. But both traditions, both Confucian tradition and Buddhist tradition, had the concept of the hungry ghosts and had traditions that were very similar.
Interesting.
So yeah. In the Taoist part of China, hungry ghosts are considered spirits who couldn't find what they need to survive in the afterlife. So they're stuck until they can gather it, which is part of the reason people leave offerings saying, here, do you need this? Do you need this? Do you need food? Do you need money? Do you need prayers? Maybe shelter, water. But it's sort of like they're stuck in this world where, so they believe, and I might get this wrong, but what they believe is that everyone is a ghost for a while when they die. Every single person that dies is a ghost for a little while. But those who were like honored properly by their family and remembered move quickly on. They're able to detach themselves from the physical world and from like the desires and like the hungers of the physical world to move on to the higher realm. But people who maybe weren't honored by their family or who did a bunch of bad things, it takes them longer to separate themselves from those physical desires before they can move on to the higher realm.
That's cool.
I've been very specific with Jordan. If I die, like, and we still live in Texas, he should totally get a memorial trash can by the bench on the side of the park closest to our house, because there's no trash can there. And I would love for it to be the Emily Pomeroy Memorial Trash Can. People could easily put their dog poop in that trash can, or if they have a little picnic on that side of the park, they're not having to carry their trash home or walk forever.
What's like the caption underneath? Like, in honor of Emily Pomeroy, she hated everyone in this park.
No, she...
I've got bad news for you, Emmy. I mean, it's actually good news. You're not going to be living there.
Oh, maybe
It's going to die because we're going to be all retired in the same town. And I mean, oh wait, I don't know. Maybe it will be. Maybe it will be in Texas.
In Ireland or Italy, who knows? I mean, we have talked about so many places.
I vote Italy.
Manifest. Let's manifest it.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the next theory. And this is the one that I think makes the most sense to me, although it also feels the most fantastical. So this is the theory that the black-eyed kids are aliens or alien-human hybrids. So the black-eyed kids share many characteristics with the gray aliens. Gray aliens, anyone who's had sightings with gray aliens or interactions with them or have been abducted by them, and there have been a lot of reports of abductions by gray aliens, they talk about the characteristics are they have black eyes, they have odd-colored skin, they have a strange, fake-looking texture to the skin, they are very thin, very lean, and all black-eyed kids are reported as to being very thin or very lean. So the question is, are black-eyed kids actually some kind of gray alien cosplaying as humans? Which would explain the strange
Possibly.
clothes.
And when they found out about hoodies, they were probably like, this is so much easier than trying to get a suit that fits our tiny little bodies. Everybody's looking at us like we're weird. I bet they felt so self-conscious.
We can hold this over our head.
Self-conscious. Stop looking at my outfit. Just let me in.
So another thing is anyone who's had encounters with gray aliens has talked about how grays spend a long time staring into your eyes. And any human who's been stared at by a gray alien says that they have felt mind control and telepathic communication. For example, often they feel like the gray alien is staring at them and they are very calm during like a procedure that normally would make a human panic, like getting, I don't know, your eggs extracted out of your belly button or your semen extracted. They're kept calm because the gray alien is staring in their eyes, giving them a sense of calm. So they're able to exert like thought control.
Oh.
So, I mean, we kind of see a little bit of that with the black-eyed kids, but it almost seems to be not quite. It's almost like the black-eyed kids can kind of do it, but aren't as effective, which makes me think alien-human hybrid.
Yes.
Do you hear an alarm going off?
I don't. Yeah, that is fascinating.
No, neither do I.
Oh,
Do you hear a steady knocking at my door? Progressively getting louder. Okay, so I already said this. Telepathic communication is something that we've seen with the black-eyed kids and is also common with gray aliens. So,
can you imagine not having to have like anesthesia to have a baby? Like you could just have an alien stare in your eyes and you'd be like, this is fine, nothing hurts, nobody's puncturing my spinal column.
my hips are not splitting open.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if we can help us medically, let's invite these people into our...
Hey, yes, gray aliens, we're talking to you now. Listen, let's like just make some progress in women's health. You seem to know a lot about women and our human women and our reproductive systems. Like, give us some of your science.
But please stop stealing.
Yeah. Also, quit kidnapping people. We don't. That's actually illegal. We don't like it.
We prefer consensual vacations. That's our preference.
Hey, listen. We actually
Consensual vacations.
We actually know someone who will willingly go with you. Who is it? Is it Erica Badu?
Erica Badu. It's Erica Badu.
Erica
She
Badu.
wants it
She will
so
willingly
bad.
go.
Yeah.
You treat her right, though. You treat her right.
She is a treasure.
We love her. Yes. Okay. So,
Did that at the same time.
so there's a lot of people that believe that black-eyed kids are actually the gray aliens experimenting on blending alien and human DNA. And if you know the case of Betty and Barney Hill from 1961, then you know that during the abduction, Barney said a cup-like device was placed over his genitals to extract sperm. And Betty said that there was a tube, this was 1961, mind you, inserted through her belly button to extract her eggs. Now, this was 1961, and this method of using a tube for in vitro fertilization would be used like way, way, way later. Like I want to say like 90s. So it's interesting that she like basically said this was happening, and then later that became modern medical science.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Haley, would you please read Marcia's account?
Yes, really quick before Marcia's account.
Marcia.
Might be Marcia.
Marcia.
It is widely thought that like we are getting technology from aliens like quite often, and a lot of our technology, like especially weapons, is from aliens.
Yikes.
That is a theory that's out there.
I don't believe that at all. Continue.
We should talk. We should delve into that deeper on an alien episode.
Oh yeah, I would love to hear your theories.
All right. So speaking of the possibility of women who have been abducted by aliens and have experienced black-eyed kids, both of you are going to tell your stories. But first, Haley's going to tell Marcia's account, and then Emily, you'll tell your account. I think it's Anne.
Okay, so Marcia or Marcia, I'm going to just say Marcia, of Wisconsin, is convinced the black-eyed children who showed up at her door are part of the alien hybridization program. She believes that she has been abducted by gray aliens and has detailed memories of the experiences. I've been abducted numerous times since I was a child, she said. When I was 23, the Greys took eggs from me. I somehow knew what they were going to do. During a later abduction, I was shown a small child. It had pale skin and large, solid black eyes. Once again, I knew that this child had come from my genes. The Greys communicate on a telepathic level. I was able to understand many of the things that I experienced during abductions because they put the information in my mind.
Mm.
End of quote. Marcia claimed the black-eyed children showed up on her doorstep 10 years later after she saw the child she believed was hers. Quote, I don't recall having any abduction experiences after I turned 30. I'm still not sure why they stopped. Part of me was relieved and another part of me was sad. I thought about it less and less as time went by, though. One day, just after I had come home from work, I heard a knock on the back door. We have double French doors that go out to a patio on the back of the house, just off the living room. At first, I was thinking it was my husband, but that didn't make any sense. There's no way for him to lock himself out. A little irritated, I walk over to the doors and push aside the curtain that covers glass panels. Standing there, staring in the door at me, was a young boy about 10 years old. He had pale skin, light sand-colored hair, and solid black eyes. Right away, I felt like I was in some kind of altered state. I just sort of froze. He was standing very close to the glass, so I could see his features really well. I felt like he wanted to say something to me, but his mouth didn't move. He just gazed back at me through the window. I don't even remember thinking about it, but I unlatched the lock and opened the door. I couldn't break eye contact with him. There was something so intense about him when I opened the door. I could see that standing a few feet behind him was another boy. From what I could tell, he looked very similar to the one in front of me, but his hair looked darker suddenly. The front door of my house opened and my husband walked in, saying very loudly, "Hi, honey." My head spun around and I saw him walking across the room asking me what I was doing. I snapped my head back to the front doors. There was no sign of these boys. Unable to speak, I pointed to the patio. My husband, thinking something was wrong, walked out onto the patio. I didn't see anyone or find any signs of trouble. The children had vanished. When my husband came back inside, he found me crying. I felt dizzy and lightheaded. I couldn't stop crying. I was sad and happy at the same time, a real mix of emotions because I knew that I had just seen my child and that he had been raised by gray aliens. While Marcia fully believes her hybrid son turned up at her house to make contact and let her know that he was out there, she does not expect to see him anymore, but she knows he's living out there among humans and that he's grown into an amazing being. Marcia believes that the black eyes are a result of the hybrid process, that the appearance has some connection to the gray aliens' homeworld.
Well, wow. Thank you, Hay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Do you think we have alien hybrids running around?
That's crazy. No. I mean, I doubt it. That seems so nuts to me.
Well,
No, I don't think
it's
so.
interesting that Marcia didn't feel any dread. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of the other stories, it's like the appearance of the kids, that the fact that there were two of them, that they're communicating telepathically lines up with other stories and interactions with black-eyed kids, but she
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel any dread,
Mm-hmm.
but felt like she.
Yeah, so it's like they can choose to give you dread or not, and if they're coming to visit their they don't give the dread.
Well, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Maybe if they
To me it
do,
seems
if they
weird.
do feed on, like, if they are energy vampires, if they do feed on like human energy, fear is one of like the higher frequencies. You can
Mm-hmm.
just get a faster meal on fear. And so maybe that is like, oh, I feel really bad. Not going to do it to my mom though.
But guess what? You can get a tasty snack from love.
You should try love, Grace.
Oh, but, I mean, but she did experience the hypnotizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and especially when she was on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But she said that it was like telepathic communication because she had that like I knew, but it wasn't like she said I knew. It was more like I knew because they speak telepathically.
Mm-hmm.
I knew this was my child because they communicate telepathically. She'd like,
Yeah, they like deposited the information into her
yeah,
brain.
yeah. I don't know. It does make you think about intuition though. Like is sometimes our intuition actually just telepathic communication
Interesting.
from
Wait, so she
gray aliens? Are
Mm-hmm.
we black-eyed kids?
Yeah.
probably. Sometimes I'm like, yeah. No, I mean, I don't think so. No, yeah, I can't say 100% for sure, but I'm pretty sure we're not.
But you don't know. So we have another story,
Yeah, Anne's story.
and this one's a little different, but along the same lines. If you will read Anne's story.
Anne is another woman who said she's been abducted multiple times. Red flag. And then, in my opinion, that's just my side note, red flag.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of harvesting her eggs, she was implanted with the pregnancy. After one abduction, the fetus was gone, and there were no signs of her having been pregnant. This is her own quote.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they placed that fetus in me to begin with. I don't understand it at all. I don't know why I'm giving her like a southern accent.
I know they
I-
placed that
that
fetus in
baby.
me.
I don't understand it at all. But I know that's what they did. I carried that baby for several months until that night when the grade took me again.
The Grays took
The
me again. Yeah.
Grays?
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. My copy says the grade.
Mine does as well.
When the Grays, I'm still in my southern accent. Okay. When the Grays took me again, the next day my baby was gone. Sorry, Anne, I don't know where you're from. 3 years later, Anne was abducted.
She's actually Australian, if you could start over.
Oh, no. All I can say is rice applies.
Rice oblites.
Yeah.
Rice oblites.
3 years later, Anne was abducted again, and a child was brought out to her while she was aboard the ship. She says, he looked normal at first, a little thin but healthy, I thought. Then I noticed his eyes. They were solid black, just like the aliens. I knew the boy was my baby. I had no doubt at all. I spoke to him, but I don't remember him answering. He just smiled at me. I touched his hair. It was very fine, but not like baby hair. It's more like hair on someone having chemo treatments, like it was all gonna fall out. I touched his hand and it felt cold and funny, like skin was too mushy or something. Anne has said, that child could walk around this neighborhood and people wouldn't realize anything was different till he got closer to him. Those eyes stand out and his skin was so clean, no freckles like I have. Anne now believes that her son was not completely healthy and that the aliens are still experimenting with him and with the process of hybrids and don't have it down yet.
So there are so many stories. Like this one was this story is from David Weatherly's book, and he said that it's just countless stories of women and men who claim that they were abducted and claim to have had eggs harvested or sperm harvested. And I don't know. I know it seems outlandish, but to me, I feel like if we're going to say that black-eyed kids exist and we're going to say aliens exist, I mean, even our government is saying aliens exist. Why wouldn't there be an alien human hybrid program?
They did try and do a human and ape cross-species breeding program.
Who?
Yeah.
Who tried
I just
to?
wonder, like, why would aliens want to create hybrids? Is this like something that the U.S. government is doing? Saying, hey, aliens, we'd like to mix some of your DNA with some of our humans. Just pick a few. Or is it the aliens going, oh, should we see what happens? Or like some people theorize that the Greys are a dying race, and so they actually have to get DNA from another species to keep their species going.
Yeah, I think that would be my main question. First of all, like if they do exist, which I don't really believe they do. I mean, I know that anyway, we don't have to get into that, but what would be their purpose
Yet.
of any of this stuff?
Well, I mean,
Oh, you're saying I don't believe yet? You haven't convinced me
yeah.
yet?
No, I'm just saying you haven't been abducted yet.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You and Erica.
That I know of.
But we're signing you both up.
Yeah.
Well, and okay, so if alien hybrids are happening, who's to say they're not already here? And maybe the black-eyed kids is just like that. Oh, dang it, we didn't get the eyes right. They're not going to blend into the human world. But they got to eat. Go suck some energy. Like, who knows? So, I don't know.
Well, and it's also in like the MUFON area, like it is
that's
widely thought that Pleiadians are already in like crossbred with humans.
Yeah.
I believe they're also known as the
Didn't you say Beyonce was a Pleiadian?
no,
Oh,
she's a reptilian.
oh, I knew she was something.
Duh. Duh.
I don't think so. She's from Houston. I think she's just a lovely, talented.
Well, why do you
She
think so
is-
many black-eyed kids are
she is a
seen
queen.
in Texas, Emily? Why do you think?
Black-eyed kids and reptilians are different.
Because they love Beyonce's music. What are you getting at?
But
This ain't Texas.
but listen, Texas has like some space center, right?
NASA? Yes.
NASA. Yeah,
Pleiadians,
NASA.
Greys,
Greys.
Reptilians.
Exactly.
It's all
coming together.
You guys are hilarious.
Listen, all I need is a whiteboard and some string and some photos.
And a degree in bird law.
Bird law.
What is that from? Something?
It's Always Sunny.
I need to watch that. I mean, I've seen it. I need to watch more.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is kind of a little out of place. I added this afterwards, but black-eyed children exist in mythology, like back in history. There are records of black-eyed children, like in ancient Islamic culture, ancient, you name it, ancient culture, like Egyptian culture, Mesopotamia culture. There are records of black-eyed kids, and there was even dyeing of the irises, like as far back as like Egyptian cultures. Like doctors would do things to change the colors of the eyes, which I thought was really interesting.
Okay, have you guys seen that crazy thing on Instagram? I've seen a couple of people who have literally tattooed
Yes.
their eyes,
Yes, I've seen it.
and they look like black-eyed kids. They have they tattoo the whites of their eyes
I
to
mean,
be.
usually their fashion is a little crazier.
Yeah, I've seen it. But that is not a new thing.
Those people are for sure not like the size that we've described of black-eyed kids. So I think these are real humans that have just for like, trendy reasons
Yeah.
decided to dye the whites of their eyes. It's a tricky one. It would be hard to go back.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think you can. And there's a
don't
poor
think you
girl
can.
who went blind from
Trying to do
trying
it.
to get her eyes tattooed black.
Hey, dummy.
Yeah.
How about don't do it?
Never.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about black-eyed children in mythology. In the Americas, there is a native tribe called the Iroquois. You may have heard of them. And in Iroquois tradition, they have this mythology that there's a dark power called the Octon, and this Octon would take over children. So there's two different ways the Octon would take over children. One would be to mate with a human woman, and then the woman would have a baby that was black-eyed and had chalky skin. The babies would be killed right after they were born because they believed that the babies were a malevolent being that was coming to take over the tribe. However, it didn't just happen to babies. Sometimes kids would go into the forest to collect berries or go hunting and come back, and the tribe would say, there's something wrong with that kid. Their eyes are black. They're acting really weird and nervous, and their skin is super chalky. So the Octon could actually take over a kid, and then it would come back into the tribe with the intention of trying to take over. And I didn't say like what they would do with kids, like once they were grown. Didn't say, but I thought that was really interesting. That's an Iroquois
So
tradition.
if a kid came back in, what would they do?
I don't know I know that they would kill babies if they were born with a chalky skin, but if a kid came back in, it didn't
They'd
say.
be like,
I could do some more research.
they'd be like, we won't tell you what we did, and don't try to investigate.
Again, it is a secret.
Don't worry about it. Another theory is black-eyed kids are vampires. And so there's a lot of things that correlate. A lot of people who have had modern encounters with adult vampires say they have characteristics very similar to black-eyed kids, needing permission to enter. Having black eyes is actually often reported, but they will say that the eyes turn black. Like they'll interact with someone and their eyes will appear normal, and then at some point they'll feel a shift in energy and the eyes will turn black.
As they start to feed.
Feeling tired and drained after an interaction is another one. And I could not find the Reddit on this, but a few years ago, I want to say sometime maybe in the last year or two, I read a Reddit post on either the black-eyed children sub or the paranormal sub, or it might have been a vampire sub because it was a vampire story. In fact, I think it might have been a TikTok. It might have been the girl that does the creepy, scary story time. Do you know who I'm talking about? The girl that talks really fast.
You've only told me about her. I don't think I've ever.
I think it might have been a story that she told where this person, it was a man, he went to New Orleans and he met this woman and he said she was really attractive, but he felt there was like a dark presence about her, but he just felt very compelled to be with her, and he ended up going home with her and they spent the night together. And he said at some point, I don't remember if he said her eyes turned black, but he said when he got up in the morning to leave, that as he walked out of her house, that it was swarming with small children with black eyes.
Weird.
No
Like he said
way.
that there was nobody when he went in. He assumed she lived alone, and when he left, it was almost like she was the mother of all of these black-eyed kids.
Oh, freaky.
And they didn't say anything to him. He just left. But again, I
What?
And
couldn't.
she didn't bite him?
No,
Like,
they just slept together.
she probably
According,
just got that fertilization she needed to have another black-eyed kid.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder. I don't remember if that was a Reddit or if it was a TikTok, but I have a feeling it was a creepy scary story time. I'll
My
find it.
my favorite energy vampire of all time is Colin Robinson from
Mm-hmm.
the TV show What We Do in the Shadows on Hulu. And
Yes.
my favorite scene is when he is like, name that tune. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. I made it up.
It's the best. It's so good.
I
So
totally
good.
probably got that wrong, but like the gist is, yeah. So
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, it's so good.
Love it.
That's one of my favorite shows.
So, one of the other theories, I don't want to say final theory, but the final theory that we will talk about today, because we already talked about urban legends as a theory that they're just an urban legend, is that these are demonic creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is that in the books I read, I believe that both David Weatherly and Michael Vassey, this is the belief system they fall into, but they're both kind of like, we don't know, but this is more what we're leaning towards.
Mm-hmm.
Here's their reasoning. Most encounters with the black-eyed kid leave people feeling drained, very scared, very uneasy. They have pure black eyes. All of this is associated with demonology. Also, the smell of sulfur or the rotting egg smell, which is like sulfur, it's very sulfury, or the smell of rotting meat is associated with demons. The fact that it takes the form of a child is almost designed to have the human let their guard down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like
Right. It draws on human empathy,
Yeah,
like
yes.
that innate empathy.
Mm-hmm.
adults really wrestle every time. Like, we talked about these adults going, why did I just shut the door on these kids? They're just kids who need help. They very much wrestle with the idea that these kids need help, but they feel absolutely their instincts tell them, don't help.
No, no, no.
So there's this guy named John who was like a military guy. He'd been in the military for 7 years. He had family in Texas. So while he was on leave one time, so you have to think like combat trained, trauma trained, someone who's seen active duty. He's been through stuff. He knows how to hold himself together.
During scary situations.
He does. Yeah. He knows how to handle stressful situations. So he goes home to Texas and it didn't say where, but he went to visit his mother in East Texas. And then he decides to take a trip. He said it was several hours or a few hours anyway, across to West Texas to visit his cousins. He liked to drive at night and he liked to drive on rural roads. Those were choices he made. So he leaves one night, fills his thermos full of coffee, and he sets out. And he has to stop and pee because he was like, guzzling that coffee. He waits till there's this long stretch. There's no houses nearby. There's no cars. There's no other cars on the road, no businesses. And he pulls over to go pee, walks like 5 or 6 feet off of the highway. And he goes and he pees. And then he's like, not really rushed. He's taking his time, stretching his body, looking up at the stars. And walks. He doesn't hear a sound. There's nothing, nobody, right? But the moon is out and the stars are out and he can like see well enough. He said he could see well enough to see like a rabbit, like running
Because
across the
In
field.
Texas,
Oh,
Rabbits
yes.
The
Because
stars
I actually
at
wrote
night.
this.
are big.
Because he stops to look at the stars because the stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas. Thank you for noticing that I wrote that. I wrote it and then I forgot to do it. So no, just a few minutes passed and he comes back to get in his car and by the door, there is a figure and the figure doesn't move a muscle, doesn't say, oh, like, hey, sorry, I just saw you and I needed help or anything like that. Just sits there perfectly still. So his alarm bells go off, but he realizes it's the figure of a child. And his eyes were adjusted to the dark, but if they hadn't been adjusted to the dark, he feels like he wouldn't have seen the kid. And he goes, oh, geez, kid, you scared me. And the kid says, doesn't even miss a beat. He says, I want to get in your truck. So John is the name of this guy. He doesn't say anything for a minute. He's just like, what? In his mind. So he's like looking around and the boy says, I want to get in your truck now. John felt the hair on the back of his neck stand up, and he had a really bad feeling like in the pit of his stomach. And I want to remind you, like Army vet, combat trained, been through trauma, seen active duty. So he's like reasoning with himself, going, "This is just a kid. There's a young boy out here, and I need to help him, and I shouldn't be worried." But then every instinct in his body is saying, "Run, get the hell out of there." And one thing soldiers are trained to do is to trust that instinct, to trust that little voice. They're actually trained to do that because, like, if you've ever read The Gift of Fear by, was it Gavin? I don't remember.
I haven't read it yet, but I want to.
It just basically says that, like, there's little perceptors happening that we're not aware of that are telling our bodies, like, when to be scared. So he's kind of battling with that thing, like, I need to trust my instincts, but also this is a child that might need help. So he couldn't kick that feeling, and he just says, "You live around here, kid?" And the boy just stood and repeated, "Just let me get in your truck. We can go for a ride."
Weird.
And he said it was very monotone. "Just let me get in your truck. We can go for a ride." John said, "Do you need to get home, kid? Whereabouts do you live?" And he says, "We can get in your truck now. It won't take too long."
Weird.
John thought the boy looked to be about 10. So young.
That would be so hard to drive away from
It would be so hard to drive
a
away.
kid that looks like 10.
So he said the kid was wearing like a white shirt that looked really ill-fitted, like too big on him. It looked like hand-me-downs. The boy's hair was dark, but he could not actually see the boy's eyes. And he never does see the boy's eyes.
Wow.
But when he read about other black-eyed kids encounters, he was like, that's what I encountered. So he started to feel even more nervous, and the boy gets more insistent. "Just open the door and tell me to get in, and we'll have a short ride." John said, "I felt like I wanted to run and leave that boy as far behind as I could. I realized I was squinting my eyes and I was trying to shake off a punch or something. It was a funny feeling, and I knew right then that I had to get out of there. So I shook my head, cleared my thoughts, and said, 'I don't think so, kid.' Took a step forward, got in the car, jumped in, started the ignition, and then he turned to look out the window, and the boy's just standing right outside his window, and he just peels out and he leaves. And then he gets down the road a few miles, and it gets completely overwhelmed with guilt, and he starts to question himself. And he's like, what in the world did I just do? I just ran away from a child, like a kid that's like stranded in the middle of nowhere that might need help. And he's like, I did get a bad feeling, but maybe the kid was just messed up in the head or something. So he turns around and he goes back and he finds the exact spot where he had stopped, or as close as he can. And he said he's very good at gauging distances because of his military training.
Mm-hmm.
And he parks, gets out, calls for the boy, nothing. So he ended up like turning back around, finishing the drive to his cousin's. But then on the way back to his mom's a few days later, he stopped again, and it was at night in the same area, and waited to see if he could see anything or sense anything because he felt really guilty, and never anything. But he has never been able to get the image of the kid out of his head, even though he didn't see the eyes. Mm-hmm. It won't leave him, and he doesn't understand why he feels so scared. Mm-hmm. So
crazy.
I don't know.
That's a crazy one.
Yeah. But that idea that like what they say demons will do is try to take on something that disarms you and that makes like appeals to those human instincts. Mm-hmm. But then like there's always something wrong. They can't get it right.
Yeah, there's something always a little off, right?
Yeah. There's so much more. Like we could talk about this for days. There are so many stories. And I did ask you guys to, if you wanted to, check around and see if there's any stories you wanted to share.
I mean, I found one on Reddit, but it's just like a family driving like kind of twilight dusk / into the night and saw kids on the side of a road like in the, do you pronounce it Mojave?
Well, I always said Mojave.
Yeah, Mojave. That's what I said. Is it?
You did.
Well, I mean, I can read it. It was, okay, so IDK if I'm being paranoid or hallucinating, but this is from Reddit, paranormal, on the paranormal subreddit, from user Chimp Goblin. IDK if I'm being paranoid or hallucinating, but today me and my dad were driving through the Mojave Desert to get to LA, and it's all desert. It was sunset, and we passed by this white car driving. I always look at cars when driving because I like looking at who's driving. Anyway, I was looking at the car and saw in the back seat of this car this little boy who was sticking out his head out of the windows. He was very sickly pale, bald, and I looked at him closely and his eyes were all black. And at first I thought that he was wearing contacts or something, but he didn't have any white inside his eyes, only black. I didn't really get too freaked out from this because I thought maybe he was a cosplayer or something, and so did my dad until 10 minutes passed. We already had passed the car when in the distance we see a person just standing in the middle of the road.
Mm.
My dad slowed down and we looked closely at the person because my dad was thinking of giving him a ride, but we noticed that the person had the same, it says same complex as the little kid. I think they mean same complexion as the little kid I saw in the back seat of that woman's car.
Probably.
So my dad just went around the person and sped off. He was on the right side because I was in the passenger seat. So I was very close to seeing him, but he just looked at us like there's no emotion. We were talking about it on the way home, and now we're finally home, but we don't know what type of encounter we just had. We do not believe in any paranormal stuff, but we don't know how to feel now because they looked human, but like almost dead.
Hmm.
The guy on the road looked like a teenager, maybe very tall, very skinny, pale, skin like sandpaper white,
Sandpaper white.
bald, and deep black eyes. We still don't know, maybe a hitchhiker. Expect they didn't have anything with them, just a black long sleeve thin shirt and black sweatpants. I believe like a pajama thin, and didn't move, just stared at our car and was looking at us when we drove off. If anyone had the same encounter, please let me know. Maybe it was a local that lived in the desert or something. IDK, cry face.
Oh man.
Cry face.
Yeah, so I mean,
So this was from the point of view of the kid riding with his dad.
the kid riding with his dad, and
Yeah.
you know, the user comments are like, that sounds scary. Usually when the eyes are black, it's a sign of supernatural. And Chimp Goblin said yes. Like when my dad got close to the car to him, we rolled down the window to ask him if he needed our help or a ride. His eyes were completely black, like no white, just black, and didn't even move or say anything, just looked at us, which was strange. And that's why we drove off. I wish we could have helped because maybe he was lost or was a drug addict. IDK.
Oh, no. The thing is that drugs will make your pupils dilate, but it doesn't go into the sclera.
Right.
Yeah, not the whites of your eyes.
I did that. You sent a TikTok to our sister chat about that woman who like was living at the lighthouse in like San Diego.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Did you watch her part two?
Oh no, I only sent the part one. I didn't follow up on the part two.
Oh, so I looked at that and then I watched the part two. And apparently she has written a book and I'd actually be kind of interested. But like in a nutshell, she goes and she lives in this state park on this property. She basically like lives in a lighthouse with her son, and she goes up one evening and the gate like won't open. So she has to get out of the car, and like two children or three children, it was either two or a group of children, came up out of nowhere, and she's like, what are these kids doing? Like she said that it's not uncommon for people to be in the park. She lives in a park, like in a national park or a state park. But they said, like, can you let us in? So she's standing outside of her car and standing outside of the gate that goes to her house. So she goes, let you in where? Because she's like, do they mean my car, or do they mean in through the gate to get up to the property that goes to the lighthouse? Right? I think she lives in the lighthouse. I was a little confused if it was like the lighthouse or a house on the lighthouse property. And the girl goes, let us in anywhere. And she says, no, go. Like, shoos them away. There's kids outside screaming and playing. Black-eyed kids.
Hope not.
Yeah.
And then what she said is that she had this interaction with them. She did not let them in. She shooed them away. Her son was like in the car. And her son, I want to say, was like 9 or 10. She said they had just moved there. He was, kind of having trouble making friends. But she said over the course of the week, their house was overrun by basically pestilence. Like it started with centipedes in the sink, coming up out of the sink, which she thought was very strange. And then beetles, and then cockroaches, and then rats. And she said there was nothing before she had this encounter with these kids. And she did notice their eyes were black. I forgot that part. There was nothing. Like they had no mice, rats, bugs, spiders, nothing.
No issues, yeah.
Then she's like, they're working. She has a roommate that's like another woman, I think, and they're like working to take care of all this and trying to get rid of it. And then her son was like, Mom, I met some kids. And she said that it was the way her son worded it. Like at first he was like, I met some kids and they want to come over. And she was like, yeah. And then he was like, they really want to come into the house. And she said that the way her son worded like what the kids said gave her pause. And she's like, what do you mean? She said, I met some kids and they told me that you need to invite them into their house. They really want to come over. And so she starts asking and she realizes her son running around made friends with the black-eyed kids that she had encountered when trying to get into the gate.
Oh, it's so freaky.
And so she's like, no, you can't talk to these kids. Like, where did you meet them and when? And like, no, we got to cut off all contact. And that was like the end of the second TikTok. And she did not have a third, but she said that she read a book
Wow.
about it.
It
So anyway,
sure would be weird, though, for a mother to let her kid run around outside unsupervised after having that super freaky experience that she'd
yeah, I
already
mean, I think
had.
it was like later.
Oh, maybe.
I think, and it was like during the
Yeah.
day.
Well, I'm not trying to judge. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
if you have one alarming thing and then you're like, run
Yeah.
on along, like little son of mine.
Yeah.
My
Well,
favorite theory that the black-eyed kids are the kids of the Men in Black, and that's part of MK Ultra's mind control experiments with the government and stuff. And so that's just kind of a theory. That's my favorite. I'm not saying it makes the most sense, but it's just kind of the most fun for me.
it was a fun one.
Oh, my favorite is the theory that I came up with today, which is the Teen Wolf version of Tween Shark.
You know what? I think we have a show here.
I think we should get a kids Kickstarter
Black-eyed
going.
kid, black-eyed, shark-eyed kids. Why are we calling them
Shark-eyed
black-eyed kids?
kids.
They should be shark-eyed kids.
Yeah.
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 Well, just gonna have to tell the internet now. It has a new name.
That is
Tween Shark, the Black-Eyed Kids of America.
Yes.
Well, that is all I have. And I just want to say that they all live happily ever after.
The end.
Do they?
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Spooky Darlings. If you had fun or got creeped out, and we hope you did both of these things, help us out by leaving a review and hitting us with those 5 stars. It's the best way to help other spooky souls find the show.
Tell your friends too. That's the best. That's also the best.
Tell your friends.
You can email us your own spooky stories at thespookydarlings@gmail.com. That's thespookydarlings, all one word. Or hang out with us on TikTok and Instagram at the Spooky Darlings Podcast, where we post pictures and bonus bits to go with each episode. Also, check out our merch store at thespookydarlings.printful.me. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay spooky, and remember who you are, which is a spooky genius. Watch out for those shark-eyed kids. We'll talk soon. 5 stars. Before we disappear into the shadows, don't forget, we're still sending out vinyl stickers. Leave us a rating and review and email us proof to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, along with your mailing address, and we'll send you some spooky snail mail while supplies last. And if your heart is still mourning that tote bag, may we gently tempt your way toward our merch store at thespookydarlings.printful.me. Treat yourself. You deserve it. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay spooky.